The F1 world has been deeply hurt by the dismissal of Mick Schumacher by HAAS, and one of those enraged is Sebastian Vettel. The four-time world champion has been really furious with how Mick was treated in HAAS and with the outcome of his contract with the American team, which is why he spoke to the media about it.
Yeah, I think he did an incredible job with such a poor car. That's a great effort, and even more so, I think he's been a huge lift for the entire team. I think the offset from the start of the season for that team was poor because they had no development.
Vettel has joined multiple people in expressing their negativity towards Steiner, such as Toto Wolf, Ralf Schumacher, and even Mick himself. Mick Schumacher has finished his second year in HAAS in a very troublesome manner, with him being able to score points only on 2 occasions, Silverstone and Austria. On the contrary, Magnussen was much more consistent in the first half of the season. However, their pace was similar throughout the second half of the season. What's even more bizarre is the fact that Mick was even better than Magnussen on multiple occasions throughout the season, despite both of them failing to score points. This only goes to show that the problem wasn't really in Mick, but rather in HAAS. And if you think about it, Mick's first season with HAAS was a pretty dysfunctional one, with the team not developing their car for the 2020 season due to the fact that they were saving funds for the 2022 season. Now that the car has proven to be capable of scoring points in the first couple of races, when at some points it was labelled as the white Ferrari, Mick has faced a lot of pressure on his shoulders. That is why he crashed the car massively in Jeddah and in Monaco, each of these crashes costing $1 million and ruining Mick's reputation even further. Although Mick was close to scoring his first career points in Canada, this feat wasn't accomplished due to yet another reliability issue, with the HAAS car hurting Mick's chances to remain with the team even further. When Magnussen finished 5th in Bahrain in the first race of the season, while Mick failed to score points, it was clear from the start that Mick would be under a lot of pressure to perform well. And even though Mick crashed the car severely in Monaco and in Jeddah, it wasn't his fault that the car wasn't able to score points in the following races of the season. Rumors of Mick being fired by the team have been circulating since Monaco, and when Vettel announced his retirement decision and was replaced by Fernando Alonso, HAAS halted negotiations with Mick because they believed Mick had nowhere else to go but HAAS. This didn't do Mick any good because the team put more pressure on his back to perform better, and that is why Mick has struggled a lot in the remainder of the races. According to Ralf Schumacher, Mick was never supposed to be under that much pressure because he was a good driver who couldn't perform well due to Steiner's pressure. When talking about the treatment that Mick received from Steiner, Ralf said, "Of course, this is a disappointment for such a young racing driver. The fact that it took so long made it clear that it would not be quite so easy. They obviously approached the matter with different standards. You have to give a driver 2 or 3 years. We see, for example, Yuki Tsunoda, who sits in a supposedly better car and also has difficulties. Mick has shown that there is potential, but no matter what he did, the team and Steiner were never satisfied with it. The whole behavior cannot be explained with normal standards. It almost has to be something personal. I think that Steiner doesn't get along with the fact that someone else is the focus at HAAS. He is very, very happy to be the one who is in the foreground. He is a self-promoting person. Obviously, the public opinion of Steiner is very low, and the fact that Sebastian Vettel spoke about it only adds to the narrative that something was truly wrong with the way Steiner has treated Mick Schumacher in HAAS. In the previous 2 seasons, Vettel was a mentor to Mick, much like Michael Schumacher was to Vettel when the 4-time world champion was a rookie. It goes without saying that Vettel will have a bit of a bias towards Mick due to their close relationship, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he has no idea what he's talking about. On one occasion, Vettel said that the perfect candidate for his seat in Aston Martin would be Schumacher. However, it's not up to him to decide. And Aston Martin has chosen an experienced champion in Alonso over a young driver who could jeopardize Stroll's position in the team. What does Vettel have to say about the way that HAAS and Steiner treated Schumacher? Of course, it's better for him, and I'm sorry in that sense. I think the team leadership at HAAS is something a bit difficult to understand. I think and hope he gets a chance because he definitely has the potential. Now that Vettel said what he said, it's obvious that he isn't happy with the way the team has treated Mick and his potential.
A huge lift for the entire team. I think the offset from the start of the season for that team was poor because they had no development, no showing huge interest in trying to push the team along. So apart from the job on track that he did, I think he's done a great job. So I really wish that he gets a much better car next year to show what he's able.
But what has been done cannot be undone. There is no going back from this situation. Mick is currently without a seat for the 2023 season, and while many think that the young German driver will make a return sooner rather than later, this is much easier said than done. Verstappen shared his support for Mick, saying that the young driver needs to keep his head up and that he isn't the only one to have been left without a seat and then have to fight for a comeback season in his career. With that being said, it's obviously going to be a rollercoaster period for the young German driver. But what's next? First, let's see what Mick had to say about his stay in HAAS and then about his future. Obviously, Mick has been taught well to not react with lots of emotions in situations like this, as he has expressed his gratitude towards the American team and towards everything that they've been able to teach him.
Yeah, obviously it's disappointing in some ways because I feel like I've been doing a good job up to this point. On the other hand, the team decided to go that way, so I have to respect that. And so yeah, I'm focused on the future now.
We've had our ups and downs for sure, but I think the trend was always pointing upwards, and I think that's what's important. It's only my second year in Formula 1. Last year, I don't know if you can really count it as a year because it was a tough one. We were only at the back.
Yeah, I mean, we've had our up and downs for sure, but I think that the trend was always pointing upwards, and I think that that's what's what's important. And it's only my second year in Formula 1. Last year, I don't even know if you can really count it as a year because obviously it was a tough one. We were only at the back.
It was definitely something I had to get used to this season, being in the midfield pack, fighting, and I feel that across the year we've managed to do that. I definitely want to stick around and I have time now, so I will see all the options that I have and then yes, hopefully take the right one that will bring me into a bright future. As of now, the starting seat in F1 is not a realistic option for Mick, at least not until Audi comes to the sport. This is something that Hans-Joachim Stock, a former F1 driver, has also pointed out, adding that Steiner's decision to sack Mick and put him under a lot of pressure in 2022 was definitely a crazy one. Ralf Schumacher has also compared his nephew to Yuki Tsunoda, who ended the 2022 season with the same amount of points as Mick, but got at least one more chance in 2023 in AlphaTauri. Mick has been heavily related to the reserve driver role in Mercedes, and this is something that Toto Wolf has spoken about as well. Wolf said that Steiner does not think clearly because he is from the mountains where the air is thinner.
Günther ist der Günther, der wird nie anders sprechen und das ist halt sein Managementstil. Der kommt vom Berg, da ist die Luft dünner und da kann man da nicht immer nur so gut nachdenken.
Still, Wolf added that there will always be a place for Schumacher at Mercedes, and it's very likely that both sides are already working on a contract. Mick is someone that has always been close to our hearts because of Michael or the whole Schumacher family. We believe that we can look after him if the situation were to happen, but we haven't really put pen to paper, we haven't really come anywhere close to any terms. I think he just fits, and now we need to make it happen, if he wants to, if manager Sabine Kem wants to, and then we see where that goes to. Mick is an intelligent, well-mannered young man. He's been very successful in junior formulas. I think he deserves a place, and now we have to see if we can do something. With that being said, it's obvious that Mick's place is definitely in Formula 1. This minor setback, however, could turn out to be a blessing in disguise for the young German driver, and there is a good chance that if he signs the reserve driver role with Mercedes, the Brackley-based team will find a proper starting seat in one of the affiliated teams. Now that Ricciardo has signed a contract with Red Bull to be their reserve driver, it's only natural for Mercedes to sign a contract with Mick and try to develop him into a championship caliber driver. What do you think will happen next with Mick, and what do you think about Vettel's statement? Let us know in the comments below.